chào, Hana là người Việt Nam. Hi, I'm Hana, I'm Vietnamese.
Xin chào, tôi tên là Sterling. Tôi đến từ nước Mỹ. Hello, my name is Sterling. I come from America.
I am freelance writer.
And I am a professor, but we don't want to talk much about our careers because this video series is not about listening to experts. Instead, we want to encourage Vietnamese citizens and refugees and Vietnamese Americans to think and discuss about Vietnamese issues and about Vietnam's relationship with America.
We are going to make one video every 2 weeks, discussing on many subjects. We also make it with English and Vietnamese subtitle. We hope it's useful for some of you in practicing English and Vietnamese as well. Let's get started. For the first episode, we choose to discuss about how Americans deal with coronavirus crisis.
I come from Mississippi in the American South. I have also lived in Alaska, but for the past year I have been living here in Thailand. Like many people, I've been unable to visit my home because of coronavirus lockdowns, and I've been trying to understand what I see in the news. I want to say again that we're not here to give expert opinions. Maybe some of you live in America now, and you have a different opinion from mine. We'd love to hear your opinions in the comments, but most of all, we hope you'll be able to discuss these issues with your friends.
So the first question I want to bring to non-expert speaker is that what do you think is the difference between American and Thai people dealing with the pandemic?
Thai people are very concerned about coronavirus. Actually, we have not seen any new cases of coronavirus in Thailand for several weeks. The government lockdown is over, but Thai people are still voluntarily wearing masks and disinfecting. At the schools, only half the students can attend class while the other half attends online. America is very different. They have many new cases of coronavirus, but it's been difficult for governments to enforce regulations. My parents told me that no one in their community is wearing a mask. I think most Americans don't want to have so many regulations and procedures.
Why? Why Americans don't follow the regulations?
Americans talk a lot about freedom, and one of the important aspects of freedom is autonomy, being in charge of your body, in charge of your life. Right now, Americans are very concerned because they feel their autonomy is being threatened. It's not just about coronavirus. Conservatives are concerned that the government is too powerful. There are too many regulations about things like gun control. Also, there are not enough jobs, so you don't have autonomy to earn money and take care of yourself. If the government makes a regulation, for example, that I can't go to work or that I can't leave work to visit my family, I would consider that the government has too much power and I have too little autonomy. Liberals are similar, but liberals are more concerned about social issues and bodily autonomy. For example, liberals are concerned about violence against women and minorities, and some very personal issues like abortion. Should the government be able to control women's bodies and whether they have children? I think most women would say no. So if the government makes regulations such as requiring me to wear a mask and constantly checking me for fever, I would consider that the government has too much power and I have too little bodily autonomy.
So you mean that if the American government applies such strictly regulations like they have been doing here in Thailand, the American will react to that badly?
Yes, I think so. Can you tell me about the regulations in Vietnam and how Vietnamese people are responding?
In Vietnam, I hardly see any protests on the regulations. Vietnamese people think it's the right thing to do. Many Vietnamese people had facing a very difficult time during the crisis, but we think following the regulations like wearing masks, quarantine every people in a building if any people in that building get infected is necessary. So I can say that our government don't find difficulty asking people follow regulations. I think it's the same with China or here in Thailand. Okay, another question for you. I saw many people think President Trump should take responsibility for more than 140,000 cases death in America until now because he is not an effective leader. What do you think about that?
In America, we have a balance of power between the state governments and the national government. By declaring a state of emergency, Trump implied that the national government would manage the crisis. Personally, I think plans and regulations for dealing with coronavirus should be developed by the state governments. Some states have taken initiative about this, but instead of addressing state leadership, most Americans are distracted by the national leadership.
I generally agree with you in explaining how different between America and people in other countries on their autonomy. Since Americans consider their autonomy is too important, they don't want the government have authority to take their freedom during handle crisis. I think the more freedom they keep for themselves, the more responsibility they should take. In my opinion, I think even if America had a different leader who made a lot of coronavirus regulations, people still couldn't follow the regulation because they want autonomy. So this is a part of the American culture, and it's unfair to blame President Trump entirely. People have to take responsibility as well.
I agree, but I would also admit that it's hard for Americans to take responsibility since many people don't have options. Thailand is an agricultural society, and Thai culture is centered around family and community. Many Thai people are unemployed because of coronavirus regulations, but they can still grow food in their gardens and depend on their friends to support them. It's called sufficiency economy, being able to take care of yourself even when the market economy is bad. In America, we don't have sufficiency economy. We don't have strong bonds with our families and communities. We don't grow the food that we eat. Most Americans are dependent on their jobs and salaries, so they make compromises. For example, my friend in America said someone in her office got coronavirus. Instead of closing the office, her boss told her to choose whether she would go to work or not. She knew it was dangerous to work, but it was also dangerous not to work because she needed the salary and was worried she might get fired if she avoided work. Right now, the government has stimulus relief packages, but there's a lot of uncertainty about how and when the money will be distributed, so it can be challenging to figure out the best way to take responsibility.
I assume that every American gets stimulus relief checks. As far as I know, the American government had a huge package to support both individuals and businesses. But discussing how Americans deal with crisis may lead us to another question. How long the American economy can stand in crisis if you maintain strictly lockdown and regulations for too long?
That's a good question, and we hope you will share your point of view. As we said in the beginning, we're not here just to explain our opinions. We want to encourage you to consider these questions and discuss them with your friends. Please like or subscribe to see our future videos. We'll be posting every 2 weeks about the issues we face as Americans and Vietnamese.
Xin chào.
Tạm biệt. Hẹn gặp lại.